the hidden landmine in Alex Eala's draw that nobody is talking about. She is one match away from playing the defending champion of Washington. Every tennis account on the internet posted that line within an hour of the draw dropping. But almost nobody mentioned who's standing in her way first. An Olympic gold medalist, a former world number 4, a player who has beaten her every single time they've shared a court. Round 1. Not the quarterfinal. Not some hypothetical Sunday storyline. Monday. And if she doesn't get through it, none of the headlines you've been reading this week ever happen at all. Here's the part that should really unsettle you. If that marquee match does happen, it isn't the story most outlets are telling. It isn't simply the rising star from the Philippines against the reigning Canadian champion. There's a detail buried in both of their family histories that flips that entire narrative on its head. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. I'm going to show you exactly what that is. But not yet. Before we get there, the trap sitting in round 1, a result from 2.5 years ago these two already share, and one number that explains why this week might matter more to Alex Eala's career than anything since Wimbledon. If you want to follow this story match by match through the rest of the American summer, hit subscribe now because we're opening this draw properly. Start with the number 70. That's the total ranking points Eala has to defend across her entire North American swing. Washington, Toronto, Cincinnati, all of it. Here's why that matters. Every player walks into a tournament carrying a backpack, whatever she earned at that event or ranking window 12 months earlier. To simply stay in place, she has to earn all of it back. Lose early and points fall out and never return. Leylah Fernandez walks into Washington with a heavy backpack because she won this title last year. Eala's backpack is almost empty because last summer went badly for her. An early loss in Toronto, a shoulder injury, and only a second-round finish at the US Open worth 70 points, which means the Eala walking into Washington now can barely fall. Every match she wins from Monday onward is pure addition. The tournament itself, the Mubadala Citi DC Open, a WTA 500 at the William H.G. Fitzgerald Tennis Center, July 27th through August 2nd. But the real reason this week matters is that it's the gateway event. Washington feeds into Toronto, Toronto into Cincinnati, Cincinnati into Flushing Meadows. Whatever form a player finds in DC, she tends to carry into the year's final Grand Slam. The field is loaded. Jessica Pegula, Alina Svitolina, Naomi Osaka, and Diana Schneider are the top 4 seeds. All handed byes into round 2. Anna Kalinskaya, Madison Keys, Emma Navarro, and 7th seed Leylah Fernandez fill out the rest. Notice who isn't on that list. Eala is currently number 29 in the world, a career high of number 28 just weeks ago, fresh off the biggest run of her life at Wimbledon. And she's unseeded, not because she isn't good enough, because a WTA 500 only protects 8 players, and 8 is a small number when this many major champions show up the same week. Unseeded isn't a technicality. A seed guarantees the draw can't throw a top opponent at you early. Eala has none of that. She's floating loose in a bracket full of Grand Slam champions, and the computer can put anyone in front of her. It did. One more date to remember. August 24th, the seeding cutoff for the US Open. Eala sits at number 29 on the entry list. If she's inside the top 32 by then, she becomes the first Filipina in history seeded at the US Open. 3 tournaments, a handful of ranking spots of cushion. That's the real scoreboard this month. So she arrives with almost nothing to lose, a career-high ranking, and a hittable deadline, right up until you see the name printed across from hers in round 1. Alexandra Eala versus Zheng Qinwen. Let that sit. An Olympic gold medalist is in this draw on a wild card, and she landed on Eala in round 1. That's not bad luck, that's arithmetic. That's what happens when you're ranked 29th and the tournament only protects 8 players. A wild card carries no seeding, no protection. It's a loose object that can land anywhere in the bracket. Usually that's a promising teenager. This time it's a former world number 4, an Australian Open finalist, and the reigning Olympic gold medalist from Paris. Zheng underwent elbow surgery after Wimbledon last year, has struggled since returning in February, and now sits around number 123, nearly 100 places below Eala on paper. But rankings don't measure what's still in her game. 2 players with nothing to lose on court 1, Day 1. That's not a routine first round. That's a collision. And it's not their first collision. September 2023, Asian Games semifinal. Eala was 18, ranked around 190. Zheng was the overwhelming favorite and took the first set comfortably. But in the second, Eala found something. Clawed back, saved break points, forced and won a tiebreak. Zheng closed out the deciding set to reach the gold medal match. Eala took bronze. She walked off having lost, but visibly changed. So here's the question worth sitting with. That was Eala at 18 playing with house money. This is Eala at 21, career high world number 29, having just beaten the defending Wimbledon champion on center court 3 weeks ago. How much of that old result still applies? I can argue it both ways. Eala is a fundamentally better player now. Bigger serve, sharper first strike, and she's finally learned how to close. But Zheng Qinwen has never lost to her. Not once. And on Monday, Eala is the higher-ranked player, expected to win by an entire nation. Pressure doesn't disappear when you improve. It relocates. And this will be their first ever meeting on the WTA Tour itself. No tour-level head-to-head. No book on each other at this level on this surface. This is supposed to be the easy match. But even if Eala walks through it, the player waiting on the other side isn't a stranger either. They've already played this year, and Filipino fans don't remember how it ended. Here's what almost nobody covering this tournament has framed correctly. Leylah Fernandez plays for Canada. She reached a US Open final for Canada in 2021 at 18. Last year, she became the first Canadian to win the Washington title. And her mother, Irene, is Filipino-Canadian. Born in Canada to Filipino parents from EALA'S. Sit with that. If Fernandez gets past Magda Linette and Eala survives Zheng, the winner of Eala's match plays the winner of Fernandez's match in round 2, which means this isn't really the Philippines against Canada. It's two women with Filipino blood on opposite ends of an American court, and only one keeps going. You clicked thinking it was the underdog from Manila against the reigning champion. That's not quite the real story, because Fernandez isn't a villain here. She's closer to a mirror. She's the version of this that already happened. A young woman with Filipino heritage who reached a Grand Slam final years ago, carrying a flag that only tells half of who she is. And now here comes another young woman with Filipino blood, carrying the flag Fernandez doesn't get to carry. What does it actually mean to represent a people when your passport says one thing and your ancestry says another? Fernandez has never hidden her Filipino side, but she competes under a maple leaf, and Eala competes under 3 stars and a sun. If a stadium full of Filipino fans watches these two across a net, who do they actually cheer for? Not who should they, who will they? Drop your answer in the comments. And here's a detail almost nobody mentioned. This wouldn't even be their first meeting this year. Stuttgart, April, Clay. Eala lost in the round of 32, and the player who beat her was Leylah Fernandez, 6-1, 6-4. So collision course is misleading. It's not a first meeting. It's a rematch, and Eala's the one still owed a result. Stack it all up and look at what this draw demands. To reach round 2, she has to get past an Olympic gold medalist. Then likely the defending champion, on a hard court she hasn't competitively touched in months. Almost maximum difficulty from the first point of the week. But Fernandez isn't comfortable either. She's carrying the heavier backpack, defending a title. In her media day this weekend, she admitted a year is a long time and a lot can change. A champion telling you out loud the ground has shifted under her. So, is Eala actually good enough on hard courts to make this happen? Look at the evidence. Berlin 3 weeks ago. She beat Donna Vekic, then reigning Australian Open champion Elena Rybakina, before falling to Svitolina in the quarters. Then Wimbledon, where she walked in as the 29th seed. History itself, no Filipino player had ever been seeded at a major before. She beat Zarazua, came back from a set down against Maya Joint, and in round 3 faced defending champion Iga Swiatek on center court, winning a brutal tiebreak 7-6, 9, then closing 6-2, dethroning the champion and becoming the first Filipina in the Open era to reach the second week of a major. She lost her next match to Jasmine Paolini. That's not a hot streak. That's a player who's shown she can beat elite opponents back-to-back. Exactly what this draw now demands again. Second piece of evidence, and it lives in a spreadsheet, not a highlight reel. Eala holds roughly 1,666 ranking points. Fernandez holds around 1,784, still ahead of her at number 25 to Eala's number 29. But look at direction. Eala defends just 70 points the rest of the summer. Fernandez defends an entire title run's worth this single week. One is climbing with an empty backpack. One is trying to slow a slide with a full one. This might be one of the last stretches Eala gets to play completely weightless, and she's playing it in arguably the strongest form of her career. Third piece of evidence, the surface, the one real variable. Her 2026 season splits cleanly. On clay she struggled all year: Linz, Stuttgart, Madrid, an early Roland Garros exit. Then grass arrived and she became a different athlete. A Berlin semifinal, a Birmingham title, the Wimbledon fourth round. Hard court is genuinely unknown territory right now. She hasn't competed on it since March. But remember, she was essentially born as a professional on a hard court. Miami last year, ranked 140th, a wild card nobody had heard of. She beat Ostapenko, Keys, and Swiatek back-to-back to reach the semifinals. Hard court isn't foreign to her. It's home turf. One more thing worth clearing up: Eala was originally entered in Washington's doubles draw alongside Venus Williams, a reunion after teaming up earlier this season. She's since withdrawn from doubles, reason undisclosed, and Williams has a different partner now. Whatever the reason, that extra match rep plan is off the table, which puts more weight on every singles point she plays this week. So here's my honest read. The match deciding Eala's entire summer isn't the Fernandez match everyone's hyping. It's Monday, round 1. Get past Zheng, and she arrives at a possible second-round Fernandez clash with momentum, rhythm restored, against a champion carrying title defense anxiety. That door is genuinely open. Lose Monday, and the whole storyline evaporates before anyone gets to argue about it. That's how thin this is. One match, one afternoon. But even that misses the real reason this week matters: August 24th, the US Open seeding cutoff. If Eala's inside the top 32 that day, she becomes the first Filipina in history seeded at Flushing Meadows. A seed isn't a trophy, it's architecture. A guarantee she can't run into a top 16 player in the first 2 rounds of a major. Everything happening in Washington, Toronto, and Cincinnati is really just math building toward that one line. So the real shock in this draw isn't that Eala might eventually meet Fernandez. It's that this bracket has asked a 21-year-old to potentially beat an Olympic gold medalist and a defending champion back-to-back, on a surface she hasn't touched in months, during the exact 3 weeks that decide her US Open seeding. That's the story. The Fernandez headline is just the hook. And there's something bigger than any single result happening here. 2 years ago, there was no WTA-level event in the Philippines at all. Now there is, because of one player. Kids in Manila are picking up rackets who might have picked up a basketball 3 years ago. That outlasts every result we've talked about today. On Monday, Alex Eala walks onto a court in Washington for the first time in her career. Unseeded, unprotected, an almost empty backpack, and a country waking up at odd hours to watch. I genuinely don't know what happens next. But if this actually gets all the way to Fernandez, if these two really do share a court, there's one question I still can't answer. If that stadium fills with Filipino fans, who do they cheer for? Not who should they, who actually will they? I suspect the honest answer makes people a little uncomfortable. I'll be covering every match of this American summer: Washington, Toronto, Cincinnati, and whatever unfolds in New York starting August 30th. Subscribe now if you want to follow how this really resolves. And tell me in the comments what you think Monday looks like. See you after round 1.